Okay, well, good morning. My name is Antoinette Doherty, and I teach in the Communication and Theater department. And the course that I selected for my technology integration was Speech 1010, which is Introduction to Speech Communication. I had several goals for my technology adventure. And they were, first of all, I wanted to increase student participation. I wanted to measure students' understanding of the material as soon as I could in class, so I would know immediately if they understood things. I wanted to facilitate student interaction on class projects outside of the classroom, in particular one project called the Group Discussion Project. And I also wanted to enhance the speed of my student name memorization at the beginning of the semester. So in order to do these things, I played around with 3 different technologies over the course of the semester. The first one is Dropbox. Now, Dropbox is something that I have used before in class, but I tried using it a little bit differently this semester. Typically with Dropbox, I would, well, first of all, Dropbox is a file transfer protocol. And what that means is if you have something to send to a student, like a very big video file, or just any video file, quite frankly, something that's too big to email, that what you would do is you would upload it, or I would upload it, into my Dropbox account. My student would have a Dropbox account. They'd send me a file share request, and I'd say, sure, I'll share my file with you. And then that big file could be dropped into their box. And so I've done this before with student speeches, but the way I tried to utilize it this semester, it's actually quite simple what I did, but very effective. I decided to incorporate, the first day of class, I decided to utilize, in our beginning of the first day activities, where we're trying to make sure that their name is on the roster, where we're trying to make sure the contact information is correct, and where we are introducing ourselves and other students to the class, I decided that in this, I would take a picture of them with my cell phone. They were given paper at the beginning of class with some colored markers to create a name sign for themselves. And so I would take a picture of them holding their name sign up. I know it's a mugshot. I know the jokes went around. Yes, the prison of school. And so I would take these pictures, and I had my cell phone linked to Dropbox. So whenever I would enter my home, it would automatically hook up to my Wi-Fi, and anything that I took on my cell phone that day would automatically upload to my Dropbox account. And what this does is I could then delete all of that stuff off my cell phone. Or if you chose to use your iPad, you can delete it all and get rid of all of that used space. And so it's in your Dropbox account, and you can access it pretty quickly. Okay, so this is one of my students from one of my current classes. And I liked that I got a sense of their personalities by how they wrote the names. So immediately on the first day, other than the words they spoke, I got a little bit of a sense of who they were. The thing that I really liked about this technology is that, or this way of using this technology, is that it cut my memorization time down from 2 to 3 weeks of class before I had everybody's names and faces memorized down to 2 or 3 classes. Tricks that, I'm saying their name before I look up so that I can go to them. But now this is very personal. I know their names immediately. So that had a good impact, I think, on the class. The second technology, moving on from Dropbox, that I decided to play with this semester was Blackboard's wikis on Blackboard. And the way that I decided to use that in my class was with a project called the Group Discussion Project. And the Group Discussion Project in my Speech 1010 class, what that does is that measures, or that sort of gives me an idea about how they interact in an interpersonal way. So there are certain things that the group is supposed to do together as a group, like picking their social problem that they're going to try to find solutions for, or that they're going to create their agenda for their discussion together as a group. But then there's a whole bunch of things that they're supposed to do separately that they're not supposed to share really in detail with the group until they come in and actually have the discussion. And it's a way for me to see, how they deal with conflict. If they disagree with somebody, how they work towards finding solutions. And so it's a very, complicated problem. But as with many group projects, or should I say all group projects, it can be difficult to measure student participation. There are always those students who seem to take on the task and move forward and sort of decide, I'm doing everybody's work, I don't care what the grade. And then there are students who just sort of sit back. And so what I was hoping to get out of this technology was a better way of being able to assess student participation on the group discussion project. So I would tell them, here's an example of a wiki from one of my classes this semester. And so their problem, they were trying to find ways to solve, Ebola spreading. Okay, so they were doing a huge group discussion about Ebola. And so what I would tell them, and you can see in the instructions, that that I would give them some time in class to do what they needed to do in class as a group. But then outside of class, they weren't supposed to make meetings. They didn't have to make time to meet each other outside of class. They were to communicate on the wiki. And so for this project, what communicating on the wiki tended to be about is, if they wanted to share, that they wanted to change maybe the agenda, or they also had to make sure that they didn't copy sources, because they all had to have different sources for their discussion so that they're bringing different material. So they might say, okay, these are my sources, these are, I've claimed them, they're mine. And so I could tell if certain students weren't really participating a little bit better than those semesters. So I thought that was very helpful. The third technology, and the one that I probably played with the most this semester, was turning point clickers. That was very exciting. I've been interested for a little bit. I've been interested in exploring this technology. And so what I started to do was to to incorporate some of these pre-made clicker slides into my PowerPoints. And what that did, that helped the class. I had two very quiet classes this semester. Very, 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 very quiet. I think at first I wasn't sure why they were quiet. It was a little unnerving. And then I realized that I think I had a lot of shy people this semester, an unusual amount. Usually I have one class where they're all talkative and raucous and woo, and one class is a little more laid back. This semester, both my classes were very quiet. So what I noticed with this, with them being able to click on the questions, click on the answers that they thought that the question was, the correct answer, that got them participating in the class a little bit more. And as the semester went on, they started to kind of, it carried over into other participation. It sort of was a doorway to being more participatory in class. My student activity technology integration project that I decided to invest time into creating, because I thought, okay, these pre-made clickers are going pretty well. So what I would like to do with this is to create a clickers competition that would review material for an upcoming test. And this way I could get a sense of what they know and what they don't know. Okay, so now you're all divided on your teams, okay? And so, let's see. Okay, so we're going to do 5 questions and then you'll see a score in the series of questions that we did. And so you notice with the group that I did this with, you can see that, they all got the first question right, so no problems with that. The second question, and most of them got it right. Third question, here we go. They start to, many of them got that wrong. They didn't understand the difference between perception and self-concept. So that indicates to me that that's something I would have to go back and clarify for them. But what I found most interesting about this segment or sequence of questions, if you look, the answer for number 10 and number 11 are the same answer, but look at how they did on this. Number 10, the perspectives from which a person views and evaluates society is called. It's a standpoint, and you see that most of them got that correct. That is a knowledge question, that is a definition, okay? But if you look at this very next thing, Andrea describes herself as a heterosexual female Latina and first-generation college student. This description refers to Andrea's blank. Standpoint is the answer, but notice all of a sudden they don't know the answer. They understood the answer when it was a knowledge question, but they didn't understand the answer when it was an application-based question. So that tells me, that I have to incorporate more examples, probably throughout the class for many things, but certainly for this idea. So it's very illuminating to be able to go back and look at the data and see what they know, what they don't know, and also that helps you to then create lessons that are customized to each class section. Because my other class section did better on certain things, so I can customize to my students' needs. Let's see, what lessons did you learn as you developed your technology integration? Okay, the lessons I learned that the first time you integrate technology, and actually, if you could just turn the line on, I think I don't really need this anymore. That the first time you incorporate a technology in your class, it will go wrong. It will go wrong. Something will go wrong. It's okay. That's fine. Go with it. Have a backup plan. Actually, students like it to see that you're human. It's okay. So I got used to that. The other thing I learned with a clickers competition, if a student comes in late and you decide to let them join, reset the entire competition, or your scoreboards will look really weird throughout, and it will be very anticlimactic. No one will know what their score is. So there's a little reset thing at the top. You just hit reset. That's if you decide to let the student join. The other thing that I learned, and this is embarrassing, I did this at least 3 times, and I felt really, really dumb every time I did it. Don't start acting like you're polling before you put the screen into full screen mode, because what will happen is you'll go to click the question, and instead the answer shows. It's like you're not actually polling, and then you look dumb. Stop! You didn't unsee what you saw. And let me reset this. I did that at least 3 times. So there's that. My goals were met. I feel like I increased student participation. I did feel like I was able to measure their understanding of the material much better. I did facilitate student interaction on the group discussion project outside of class, and I did certainly enhance the speed of my student name memorization at the beginning of the semester. I think that the students responded favorably to the activity, as is evidenced by the survey that was given to them after they did it. And also, I would check in and I would talk with them throughout the semester about my process of being a student and what I was trying to do. And I'd ask them, if they liked certain things or not. And they seemed very positive. And on a larger sort of note about the program, I think that students really liked knowing that I was also a student. And they really liked knowing that I was trying to learn things to help them, and that I was struggling with understanding things. And so I think it was modeling to them how to be a student, and there's a certain amount of uncertainty, and that's okay. And so I think that was a good thing. My next steps, I would try to utilize the iPad more in class. I thought I was going to, and then I ended up not doing that. So that would be my next step.